In Psalm 73, Asaph struggled because he couldn't reconcile what he knew to be true in his head with what he saw with his eyes. He wanted to believe that God is good to his people, but when he looked around, it seemed like the righteous suffered while the wicked prospered. If you're feeling that way, then I would encourage you to do what he did. When Asaph took his doubt to God in prayer, he gained a new insight. He became aware of something that had always been there, but because he was envying the healthy and wealthy wicked, he was ignoring the fallen and forgotten wicked. He wasn't paying attention to how many of the high and mighty had been brought low. He wasn't keeping a tally on how many had in their arrogance slipped from honor into disgrace. I often fall into that same trap. I look at those in high places behaving unjustly. They're rich, famous, healthy, but that doesn't tell the whole story. For example, consider Jeffrey Epstein. For decades, he engaged in the trafficking of underage girls. He owned a private island in the Caribbean where he flew the rich and famous on his private jet to engage in illicit activities. He was the kind of man Asaph would have looked at and said, "See, if God is good, why is Epstein prospering in his evil while I'm trying to do right and barely getting by?" Well, as you may remember, in 2019, Epstein died by hanging in his jail cell. Now, in his jealousy, this is the kind of thing the psalmist had failed to notice about the prospering wicked. When he prayed, and he prayed his doubts in the house of the Lord, he saw the bigger picture and said in verses 18 through 20, "Surely you, Lord, place them, the wicked, on slippery ground. You cast them down to ruin. How suddenly they are destroyed, completely swept away by terrors. They are like a dream when one awakes. When you arise, Lord, you will despise them as fantasies." And so blessed are those who bring their doubts to God, who receive in His presence the insight that a life and death experienced in the Lord is better than anything the wicked will ever know.